In our previous conversations, you talked about in terms of acting on it, you talked about the importance of carefully selecting team members based on skill sets and their attitudes and behaviors. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure, absolutely. I learned this from a leader that I worked for, and I think his quote was the most important decision a leader ever makes is who they hire. And I've taken that to heart. I'm a bit of a cynic in the sense that I don't believe all leaders believe that with the same level of intensity that I believe that. It's not about just putting warm bodies in positions. So when I go to hire for my team or I'm invited to participate on a panel or individual interview for another position within the organization, I take it incredibly serious. The time that's spent, and it is time consuming, the time spent reviewing the credentials, the resume ahead of time, not just showing up, actually preparing questions in advance. We utilize a great, very short, quick assessment of candidates at Caliber Scientific. And when we have that feedback ahead of time, it gives me a little preview into the candidate's strengths and their natural tendencies, being able to craft questions around that. During that interview process, it's really important to me to understand not only their career trajectory and where they've been and why they've made the moves that they've made, but truly understanding how others have worked with them. So their credentials are absolutely important, but I want to understand, how do they work within a team? How do they work with leadership? How do they work with direct reports? How do they partner with customers, vendors, suppliers, etc.? So the interview process, I think, is incredibly important. I think taking time to actually reflect on the candidates that you interviewed. For some, this might seem a little, quote, old school. I believe in reference checks. I honestly don't think a lot of employers complete reference checks, and not just reference checks that the candidate provides you with, oh, here are my three friends, but actual former supervisors, leaders, coworkers, and really taking time to have meaningful conversations with those individuals. So I think that's important. Of course, background checks. I really do believe hiring is the most important decision you make as a leader. And I've said this, and I don't say this in a braggy way. Every person I've hired for my team at Caliber Scientific has been the right person for the right position at the right time. No regret. So I feel very strongly that harming and selection is incredibly important. And if every leader took it as seriously, and it does take time, it can be pretty exhausting. I think we would get the hires right the first time.